So a little while back, there was this great announcement from QWERTY about the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. And at the time, I took a pass on it. I had lots of other stuff going on. But then I got FOMO. So here we are. This is looking at one of the prompts in the challenge, and let me tell you, it absolutely was a challenge. Hello, my name is Jessica. I am from ThisKiwi, and today we are going to be reviewing When the Moon Hatched. When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Now, the prompt for this was to read a book that it was 500 plus pages in one day. And that took me quite a while. I started at 6:30 in the morning, or it was more like 6:45 when I started listening to it, and I finished at 11:25 p.m. And so that was a big day. But I really enjoyed this book, and I really, really enjoyed this book. Let me tell you why. So welcome to this first update of When the Moon Hatched. There we go, you can see it there. I'm really enjoying this so far. I am 200 pages in, chapter 33. I'm quite liking Rave as a character. I think there's going to be a link between her and this person, Elowen, who has these diary entries in between. I feel like there's going to be a connection there. There's also a connection between the love interest and Elwyn as well, so I'm quite interested to see where that storyline goes. We've been learning a little bit about this Elwyn character. As we stand at the moment, Rave has been arrested for assassinating all of these people, and she just kind of gets saved by Khan. I should remember that name. And so this king has come and saved her, and at the moment they're just riding off to this place. I'm not quite sure where. Both of these characters have significant injuries over the time, and it's really interesting to hear about all of these scars, and there's also tattoos as well, which is really cool. Actually, the description of Khan's tattoos on his back are just so brilliant, and I would love an edition of this book where we get a shot of Khan's tattoos, or if I can find it on Google. Because it was described so brilliantly, I just had a bit of trouble trying to place them. So at the moment, I am really enjoying it. It did take me a little while to get into it. I would say kind of from 50-ish pages, I started really getting into it. So yeah, let's see how we go. I'm just about to grab a hot drink, some water, and we will continue reading. I think, judging by how long it is and what the time is, it's just going to 20 to 1 in the afternoon here. I think I'm definitely looking at 6, 7 o'clock, but I will get this done within the day, and I'm really happy about that. So I will see you on my next update. So the first impressions of this book were really good. I loved the landscape and the atmosphere and the beauty of the art in the book as well. And it all helped me imagine, look, there is some of that there. It all helped me imagine this world really well. I could close my eyes and see this landscape and feel like I was there. And so that was really well done. I really enjoyed Rave's character. That she's the female protagonist in this book, and I liked the whole idea of her being an assassin for this rebellion against this empire. And it started off that way, and it was shown really well in the early chapters. She enters the scene essentially undercover in this like burlesque, I don't want to say brothel, but almost like brothel type situation and place, and she's undercover to kill someone very important in the empire. And this is specifically for this rebellion that is going on. So she has orders to do this. When I first started reading the book, I thought it was going to be one of those books where it mainly stays in like either one or two cities or places and something like that. I thought it was going to be quite simple, and it's not. It is so layered. And yes, you start off in this one little area, but then it just blows up and it goes, it goes all over the world. And it's a lot bigger than what you originally think. And really, I should have known that because A, dragons, and B, the map, which I showed earlier. So to kind of help the story move along, there's this bounty hunter who's our bad guy. His name is Rick. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Rick. And so he is tasked with finding Rave, and he does, and she gets thrown into prison. And it's kind of in prison where she meets the love interest Khan, and Khan is like this king of the burn at the moment, and he has his own kind of revenge story that's going on as well, but they kind of meet. He heals her because Rick is a total asshole, and I will talk about Rick later on, but Khan heals her, and then she gets sentenced to death. So that is death by dragon, and that can either be being burnt alive, essentially being eaten by the dragon, or sometimes the dragon will take the prisoner to the hatching grounds and they kind of feed the prisoner to the young. And so that's how execution kind of works in this world. So that's what she thinks is happening when this massive dragon kind of scares off everybody else. And then he swoops down and he takes her into his mouth and he flies her off. She thinks, great, I'm going to get fed to his young dragons, and this is really going to suck. But in actual fact, this big dragon is Khan's dragon, and he is saving her. And they're out in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, this is where they start getting to know each other really slowly. Um, and you get bits and pieces of Khan's story, and little bits are revealed towards like the main plot twist, but you don't really get the main plot twist until it's right in front of you. So, like I said, on the surface, this feels like it's going to be a very straightforward fan row, like follows that structure. Um, but it is anything but that. It has so many layers. It is deep. It is complicated. And in my personal opinion, this has one of the best plot lines, or like is one of the best plot driven books that I have read in a fan row in a very long time. So let's talk about the romance. Now, for me, I hated it the entire time when Khan was calling her Moonbeam. Moonbeam was kind of like his little nickname for her. And when I say her, I mean Rave. And I'm really not a fan of nicknames, and that has not changed. I think they're cheesy as. Uh, um, and then we get to the first spicy scene, and like it doesn't quite get to that point. It almost does get to that point, but not quite. She's saying she wants him and all of that, but she's saying, but as long as it doesn't mean anything. And he's like, he's very like old fashioned, like he's very in touch with his emotions, I feel like. And so when this first happens, it really doesn't make any sense because he just, stops everything, tells her to go back to bed. Uh, and so you're left like, huh, what? Like both of these characters essentially have blue balls. And it was not going that way. But they stop what they're doing. Nothing actually ends up happening. Well, not all of it. And so it didn't make sense until you get a little bit later on in the book and the plot really starts revealing itself. And then it actually makes total sense that he rejected her like that. Like, completely makes sense. And that's one way that I can give an example as to how layered this book is and how much bigger the world is and how much bigger the plot is than what you first realize. One of the main plot points in this book is really not revealed until about halfway, maybe even further than halfway through the book. And it is to do with Khan and his own kind of vengeful / protective quest, and why he's such a protective person, and also why he's quite broody. I did find him quite broody. And I have to say that I did not see that plot point coming until right before the reveal. And I was like, I have not seen that before. I should have guessed it. Guys, I think I am losing my touch as to like guessing reveals and stuff like that, because there's been a couple of books where it's been pretty obvious what reveals are and I should have guessed them, but I didn't. I found this one kind of came a bit out of nowhere, and then as the story goes on, when you know this plot point, like it starts to make more sense and more sense and more sense. And it just adds even more layering into the story and into this plot. Now let's talk about Rick for a minute. For me, he was an asshole the whole time through the book, and it is obvious that he's an asshole, and he didn't he didn't let up. And as much as I liked that about him, I like a antagonist that is an actual antagonist. I feel like he was in the book just to be an asshole and just to prove that people, like to torture people and torture animals. Spoiler alert, a little bit. And yes, he's quested with finding this very important person, but I feel like he was only there to show us that there are these kind of assholes out there. And I just didn't see too much of a point to him. So overall, there were a couple of points that I didn't like. But the story, the world building, the atmosphere, most of the characters, the plot were really good. Yeah, it's really hard to actually compare this book to anything else because I haven't really read anything quite like this book to compare it to. I found that this was quite unique, and I think that's quite hard to do in this day and age with fanros and romanticities and stuff like that. They're all pretty general, but I thought this was really unique, and I think that's what I really liked about it. This is left in an absolute cliffhanger, so I am eagerly awaiting the second book. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I really did enjoy this. Well, have you read When the Moon Hatched? If you have, what did you think about it? Comment below, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.